What's up, fight fans? It's like the last day before prom, and everybody's trying to find a date because no one wants to show up stag to such a magnanimous event. With the undisputed unification of Errol the True Spence and Terrence Bud Crawford on the horizon, with the winner and the loser vacating the division after the close of one of the most historic fights of our time, the whole division, the Glamour division, aka the Darling, the most exciting division in boxing, the welterweight division, will be going through a free facelift. Four new champions to the top of the division and sanctioning bodies are pursuing to grab the faces of their new brand. As in history, as many times, the welterweight division is loaded with new talents on the cusp, like the United Kingdom's Conor Benn, or we got fast, speedy Rashidi Ellis, Alexis Rosa, who just took out Blair Cobb trying to push to the top, and we still have veterans like past champs Keith Thurman, Danny Garcia, and Yordenis Ugas, who still trying to put their bid in for one last dance at the big fling. Sanctioning bodies already know who the future champs of 147 will be, but it's one dark horse or one super fight in the making. Here I will give you a first hand on the future of the 147 division in this video, welterweights, passing the truth in the bud era. You got the promotional companies like Top Rank, Golden Boy. They trying to posture with the sanctioning bodies in which they're close to, as well as the PVC. But it all comes down to the fighters and who's going to get in the ring with who. We have some fighters like Bruce Ennis, and we got Virgil Ortiz that's at the top of ranking. And then you have past champs like Yordenis Ugas with the WBA and Keith Thurman, who has close ties with the WBC. So it's all up for grabs, and it's a very exciting time for boxing because now we about to have fresh faces for 4 fresh titles. And that means we have more matches, more title matches, more eliminations, and we have the race to get undisputed again. First, we're going to start with the WBO. Then I'm going to go to the WBA, the IBF, and then last, we're going to go to Mauricio Suleiman in the WBC because that belt seemed to be a lot of controversy, and it might prove to be the biggest and most exciting fight to see who takes home that belt right there. It could be anywhere in between Keith, the legendary Thurman, or Virgil Ortiz. We just have to sit back, watch, and as I break it down, you can go along with it and understand where I'm coming from and see what the new face is about to have. In 1988, the WBO, also known as the World Boxing Order, was founded. It took to 2000 for the WBA, the granddaddy of them all, to recognize it as a championship belt, which bring our total to 4 belts for unification in the championship era. The WBO, which is currently held by pound-for-pound #1 titan Terrence Bud Crawford, formerly 140 undisputed champion, also a 135 champion. Terrence Bud Crawford took the WBO off of Jeff Horn, who had a controversial victory off Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao. A lot of people joke and say the WBO stands for whatever Bob orders belt, because usually top-ranking Bob Arum keeps their hand on the WBO belt. Like now, Josh Taylor is the undisputed fighter at 140. The great thing about the WBO belt is you get an immediate title shot once you elevate in levels. When you go to the next division, you get an immediate title shot. You get to jump to the front of the line. Right now in the WBO, you got Ortiz, that's #1. You got Boots #2, Conor Benn #3. You got Thurman #4 with McKinnon #5. Cody Crowley is #6, and David Avanesian is #7. But with that being said, Taylor, who is 5'10", with a 69-inch arm reach, who is 19-0 with 13 wins by knockout, who is controversially had a decision over Jack Catterall, which he arguably lost, waiting to activate the mandatory calls. But it might be one problem with that because Virgil Ortiz Jr. is the intercontinental belt holder for the WBO at welterweight. So, by likely, the super champion, which is Josh Taylor, automatically gets skipped to the front of the line, but they might can work out some deal which Virgil Ortiz get a fight against Josh Taylor, who is formerly undisputed at 140 with a win over Ramirez. In 2021, he was ranked the best active lightweight while going through a gauntlet of fighters. He beat Regis Rougarou Prograis and Ivan Baranchik. And by being at 5'10", he can no longer stay at the 140 division. Francisco Varsal, the president of the WBO, is great friends with Bob Arum. So, like I said, they used to say the WBO stands for whatever Bob orders. So Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy and Virgil Ortiz might have to go another route because Josh Taylor is most definitely going to activate that mandatory once Spence or Crawford vacates. He claimed that he wanted to fight with Terrence Crawford, but Josh Taylor and Bob Arum and the world knows that Josh Taylor, if he fight the way he fought against Catterall, he would get put in the dirt. He would no way be able to fight against Terrence Bud Crawford. Taylor, who is a boxer puncher and has a very high ring IQ, was exposed when he fought against Jack Catterall. Not to take anything from him, but Crawford is just a little bit more out of his league. But as he put on weight, when he enters the welterweight, we'll get to see what type of fighter he really is. Maybe we not seen the best of Josh Taylor because he was weight drained. But I tell you this, Virgil Ortiz has something to say about that belt. And Oscar De La Hoya as well. Maybe they can come together for a super fight. That's just saying if Josh Taylor wants to make a name for himself at welterweight, because there's no way Golden Boy and Oscar De La Hoya is going to get the WBO belt. Not while Josh Taylor is holding on to the mandatory. He even got stripped of his WBA title because he chose not to take another fight while he's in 140. He's just waiting for the Spence and Crawford fight to continue and for them to vacate so he can make his move. Him and Bob Arum sitting there waiting like crafty foxes, waiting for the next crop to come in. Formerly known as the NBA, the WBA is known as the most prestigious and oldest sanctioning body in boxing. Founded in 1921, it's over 101 years old. Everybody strives to get that WBA belt. The WBA in the welterweight division, who was held by Keith Thurman since 2017, defended against Showtime Sean Porter and Danny Swift Garcia, was taken from Keith Thurman by Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, and a gruesome Fight of the Year candidate fight between the two of them. Pacquiao later wanted to unify the title belts against the Big Fish, Earl the True Spence, who had to pull out of the fight because of his eye issues, which saw a then elevated Yordenis Ugas battling Pacquiao because Pacquiao had lost the Super Champ and became the champ in recess due to the layoff of COVID-19 and 2 years inactivity. So Yordenis Ugas and Pacquiao had a chance to battle to see who is really the WBA's super champion. That fight ended with Yordenis Ugas schooling Manny Pacquiao. Even though Manny Pacquiao's a legend, he's always had problems with boxers, a.k.a. Floyd the Money Mayweather. His last fight with Marquez, not taking nothing away from Pacquiao. He's a great boxer, a very great boxer, but skills pay the bills and you can't live off of your athleticism all the time. Now fast forward, we have Yordenis Ugas coming off the best win of his life, chose to unify his belt with Earl the True Spence on April the 16th, Earl Spence Jr. Day. The fight saw Earl Spence brutally and savagely beat Yordenis Ugas, but he went out on his shield. Yordenis Ugas was still game after receiving a broken orbital, broken ribs, and fractured jaw. He still continued to fight and had to be stopped by the doctors and the trainer. But not to take anything away from Ugas, that made the Big Fish, now 3-belt holder, only the first person to have all 3 belts since Zab Judah. But Earl the True Spence is going for legacy, which is undisputed with Terrence Bud Crawford. Imantas Stanionis will be WBA's super champion once Earl or Crawford vacates. Right now in the rankings, the world champion is Imantas Stanionis, who won the title by beating Butayev. Ortiz is ranked number 1 with 18-0. Jerron Ennis 28-0. Thurman is 31-0. Conor Benn is 21-0. And Ugas is number 5 with 27-5. And then you got Butayev. He dropped all the way down to number 7. He's 14-1. Imantas Stanionis is a Lithuanian boxer who won a gold in 2015 in the European Championship. He just defeated Butayev on Errol Spence's co-main card on Showtime April 16th on Errol Spence Jr. Day. He's 5'8" with 68-inch arm reach. He has a total of 15 fights, 14 wins, 1 no contest, with 9 wins coming by way of a knockout. Took a step aside money with Yordenis Ugas and has a great relationship with the WBA's president, Gilbert Mendoza. So, as soon as Earl Crawford vacates, C. Stanionis elevated to the super champ status. And that's the WBA coming to you. United States Boxing Association, also known as the IBF in '83. At the WBA annual convention, Robert Bobby Lee, president of the USBA, lost the bid to become the WBA president to Gilbert Mendoza. After that, the IBF was formed in '84. It was recognized as a major sanction after it recognized Larry Holmes, Aaron Pryor, Hagler, and Curry as world champions. The IBF is a staple in the community by forcing fighters to face their mandatories. Also, clean boxing, and plus they have a weight restriction when you rehydrate clause. So, in actuality, it might be the more stringent of all the other boxing sanctioning bodies, but it's also worth it. The IBF gives you strong champions. And right now, Boots Ennis is ranked number 1 in the IBF with 29-0. Ortiz is 18-0, number 2. We got Conor Benn, who is number 3. Castillo Clayton, who just lost to Ennis, is 19-1-1. David Avanesium, he's 29-3-1. You got Chudas at 20-1, and you got Aboro, who is 25-4-1. Right now, the IBF division got the hottest item on the ticket right now, which is welterweight phenom and superstar, a natural switch hitter who is 5'10" with a 74-inch reach. And in 2014 and 2015, he won the silver and gold in the National Golden Gloves. He lost to Gary Antoine Russell twice, and that is the last time that Boots Ennis has lost a fight. Steady timing to the top on all the sanctioning body. Boots is a phenom in which the only person that probably could be able to handle him is the current IBF champion. But he's looking to vacate after he unifies with Terrence Bud Crawford. Right now, Boots Ennis has been stopping everybody that's been put in front of him, and he's on a roll right now. Him and Daryl Peoples have a great working relationship. He also just signed a deal with Steve Espinosa on Showtime. And in that deal, it's promised to get him the big fights. When I say Boots hasn't lost since the 2 times that he lost to Antoine Russell in the tournament, what I mean to say is he hasn't lost since then. That means he has went through 30 straight fights without losing a single round. He fought Van Herden, who was on the verge of getting stopped in the first round, took the easy way out with an accidental headbutt and act like he could continue. Then he had a step-up fight with Thomas Delorme when he knocked him out in 1 minute and 49 seconds of round 1. And Sergey Lipinets got knocked out at 2:11 of round 6. And it's no stopping this kid right now. He just had a fight with Castillo Clayton, supposed to be his biggest task, and took him out with 2:49 of round 2. So it's safe to say that the IBF is wrapped up by one Jerron Boots Ennis. Now we're coming to you with the WBC, which is the World Boxing Championship, ran by President Mauricio Suleiman, the green belt, the epic belt that everybody claims that they need, the WBC. Now, after Spence or Crawford vacates the division, the WBC might be the tightest belt race because, first off, you have Virgil Ortiz, who is 18-0. Then you got David Avanesian, who is ranked number 2 at 29-3-1. But the dark horse is Keith, one-time Thurman, who is the former belt holder and real good friends with Mauricio Suleiman. And Jerron Ennis, number 4, Conor Benn, number 5. Danny Garcia also is number 6. But the 2 that we need to worry about here is Ortiz and Thurman. Like, Ortiz has the claim to it as number 1. But Keith Thurman, he is the former unified welterweight champion. He had the WBA from 2015 until 2019. He was elevated at the Super in 2017. He won the WBC from Garcia in 2017, but later had to give up the WBC in 2018 for inactivity. Known by most as "Don't Duck Me, Son," when he was chasing Paulie Malignaggi. In June 2016, he fought against Sean Porter, which was one of the best fights of the year, Fight of the Year candidate. Then March 2017 at the Barclays, he came and took the green belt from one Danny Swift Garcia. Later, Keith Thurman was undefeated until he lost July 20th, 2019 to Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao at the MGM Grand. Then Keith Thurman took a hiatus from boxing. Boxing didn't see Keith Thurman for another 2 years until he made a return fight against El Azteca, Mario Barrios. At first, it was a regular fight between him and Mario Barrios, but as the fight date approaches, Keith Thurman got wind that became a WBC title eliminator fight because Keith Thurman was trying to secure the big fight with Earl the True Spence. After he defeated Mario Barrios, he pursued Earl Spence actively, but the truth, after he pursued Keith Thurman for all those years and was denied, has now denied Keith Thurman. So now Keith Thurman has one more bid left for greatness. If he doesn't get the WBC or gets a fight for the WBC, he's going to either have to try against Boots Ennis, or they might just make him and Virgil Ortiz fight for the belts. A fight like that is right up Virgil Ortiz's alley. He's 18-0, 18 win by knockouts. And this is the type of fight that he needs to cement his legacy. He's also been in the ring with plenty of opposition. He took out Antonio Orozco in 2/16 of round number 6 by knockout when he won the WBA gold title. Then he took out Brad Solom in 2/22 of round number 5, Vargas in 2/58 of round 7. Not only that, he fought Maurice Hooker and won the vacant WBO Intercontinental belt. And to set things off, Virgil Ortiz also had a grueling fight where he was knocked down and later knocked down Egis Kavalasis, who is known as the Mean Machine. Ortiz faced opposition in that fight because he was knocked down, but he later got up and knocked out Mean Machine, who also dropped Terrence Bud Crawford, but was not given the knockdown. But this would be a great fight, Keith Thurman versus Ortiz, and Oscar De La Hoya is definitely going to push for it because he's also friends with Mauricio Suleiman. So the best thing that they can do, because Keith Thurman is petitioning that he didn't lose his belt, he gave it up as a champion in recess. And Virgil Ortiz, he's top on everybody's sanctioning list. So the best thing to do is to let them go in the ring and fight, which I would favor Ortiz because he's a vicious body puncher. And as we've seen against Mario Barrios, Thurman can't take a shot to the body. So these are the way that the fight's about to shape up. This is the way the division's shaping up. And I just like to thank y'all for coming out here and sharing this time with me. Please leave a like, leave a comment, share. And I'd like to thank you and everybody else. And God bless you. Thank you.